Want your singing to feel natural, open and free? Then you need to learn the open throat. When your throat is open, it's the perfect indicator that your voice is in a balanced, open state where your vocals can work freely without reaching or pushing for notes. That's why I call the open throat your internal vocal coach. It's your guide for singing, instantly telling you when your mind and body are in a perfectly balanced state when you're singing. And it's especially powerful for when you're learning a new song or a new vocal technique. In my 24 years of teaching singing, there are 3 exercises that I've found that work really well at building singers' awareness of an open throat, but they must be done in order. And that's what we'll be doing in this video. Once you've unlocked the open throat, you'll have a singing superpower that all you have to do is ask yourself, does my throat feel open or does it feel closed? If it feels open, then you know that your singing will be in a good place. And you can ask that question just before you sing and while you sing. This will skyrocket your confidence on any difficult part in any song, knowing the open throat will guide you through it. So before I teach you what an open throat is, it's crucial you understand what my definition of an open throat is. And it's this. The throat, this area here, has intrinsic muscles and extrinsic muscles. The intrinsic muscles have the voice box. The extrinsic muscles are like a framework that support the voice box in its movements for pitch and tone and all that good stuff. Cool? So then an open throat is simply releasing those extrinsic throat muscles so the intrinsic throat muscles, the ones with your voice box, can actually move freely. Cool? So voice box, this bit here, you can see these muscles here all the way around. I call those the extrinsic throat muscles. Well, everybody does. Cool? They are the extrinsic throat muscles. And we want those to release the grip, not go flaccid, but release the grip. So there's a nice flexible framework for the larynx to work within. That is my definition of what an open throat is. Cool? And when we have that open throat, it's a perfect indicator that everything is in balance. Because the moment there's a state of imbalance, those extrinsic throat muscles quickly grab the larynx to protect it and close everything off. You're now pushing to try and sing through it. So if the breathing is in balance, the vocal folds are in balance with the breathing, the resonance is in balance, the way you articulate is in balance, and most importantly, your mindset is calm and relaxed and not stressed, then those extrinsic throat muscles relax and the larynx can move freely again. Cool? So that is what those 3 exercises are all about, teaching you to build correct awareness so that you can release those extrinsic throat muscles correctly. Oh, and if your mind is stressed or anxious, then you really need to do the singer's meditation first. And really that should be done before this video anyway. So I'll leave a link in the description box so you can go and check that out and then come back to this video. So I mentioned an imbalance of tension. So let's just explore that quickly. What does that actually mean? Because what we're looking for is a state of balanced tension, which feels free and easy and floaty. So you wouldn't think there's any tension in it. So let me give you an example. Take your finger. When you bend it, feels easy, feels floaty, no effort. Cool? But what's actually happening is these muscles on this side are tightening up and these muscles on this side are relaxing, but they're not flaccid. Otherwise, your finger will go like that. There's a balance of tensions, so I can move my finger slowly or quickly. But all the time, when it's in a state of balanced tension, it's easy. Cool? That's it. So that's what we're looking for, a state of balanced tension, never flaccid. Hello, my friend. I'm vocal coach Dylan. Welcome. If you have any singing friends that you think would really benefit from this video, why not share it with them and share the love? So before we start those exercises, it's really important to understand that each exercise is a standalone exercise. But when you combine them, they build on each other for a super powerful exercise that you want to come back to and do regularly, at least for a month, to just really internalize each subtle nuance of those exercises. So exercise 1 is called the vocal fry exercise. The objective here is to learn to isolate and separate between the vocal folds and the extrinsic throat muscles. The extrinsic throat muscles, remember, we want to be relaxed and open. And the intrinsic throat muscles, we want to be able to isolate so we can recognize where it's okay to feel some squeezing and some glottal compression going on. And that's all happening in the place where you feel the vocal fry. In there. So we'll break this exercise down into 5 simple steps. As you go through the steps, really play with each one. Give yourself permission to have fun, make mistakes, explore your voice. Remember, as long as nothing hurts, it's all cool. Okay, so step 1, the glottal stop pops. So what we're trying to feel here is when the vocal folds are brought together. And they're brought together by the arytenoid cartilages. So they bring the vocal folds together. And this happens just before you make the sound. Cool? When I get new students coming to me, they will often confuse that with the throat closing. Whereas in fact, it's not. It's just the vocal folds being brought together, ready to make sound. Now, if they don't allow that to happen, they end up with an airy sound. Cool? So it's super important that we can distinguish the difference between the extrinsic throat muscles, which are the ones that release the grip on the larynx, and inside the larynx we have the vocal folds, which are now being brought together, ready to make the sound. So we're going to start by saying the word up, up, up. Now do it really quietly. Can you hear there's that little pop at the beginning on the I'm now just going to do that bit. And I can feel my vocal folds that are in your voice box. They would be like this. I'm going to bring them down like that so you can see them looking down through the top of my head there. The arytenoid cartilages are here. They bring the vocals together like that. Cool? So we're going and they're being brought together. So now what we can do is we can go. So hold them together for a moment. Can you feel that little feeling of kind of like, you can feel them being brought together, almost like they're lightly pinching together or lightly pressing together, and then holding, and then the release. That is correct. Cool? That is intrinsic work happening, which needs to happen to make sound, whilst the extrinsic muscles are relaxed. But we'll be building on this throughout the 3 different exercises. So don't worry if you're just going, oh, I'm only just starting to get that, Dill. Keep practicing, listening back. Step 2, we're going to add the vocal fry. So we're now aware of where we're feeling the vocal folds being brought together. In that area, we're going to feel this popping going on, and that's the vocal fry. So a couple of different ways to get it. You can slide down to it like this. Ooh. That's the vocal fry sound, that cool. Another way to get it is you can go raw, raw. So I'm just saying raw, raw. notice my lip shape and how I drop my jaw. And another one would be to say yaw, yaw, yaw. What you're trying to get here is a really nice, even, consistent popping sound. So you want not actually, it's quite hard to do, to speed it up and slow it down, but you'll hear it in your own, where you can hear it, or you may hear it in your own, where it speeds up and slows down. You want consistent pops throughout, and you don't want it too airy like this. Can you hear there's a pushing sound, a tension? That's your throat closing. And you don't want it like this either. And once you can hold that for 15 to 20 seconds with a nice clean rate of pops, then you're ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so step 4, we're going to take our hands and we're going to put them around the neck like this. Cool. Now we can feel that throat starting to open. My fingers go right back round here. Cool. All of this down here. There are muscles in there, your constrictor muscles, that all tighten up when you're swallowing or when you're stressed and give us the closed throat. Cool. And all the way around here. So we're feeling all of this area. Now we do our vocal fry again. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Did you feel a subtle feeling of expansion every time you made the fry sound? Ooh, ooh, hello, how are you? Cool. So play around with that, have some fun with it, really feel that expansion in the throat. And then we're ready for the next step. So now in step 5, we're going to work on doing this. Ooh. And what we're learning to do there is recognize again that separation between the extrinsic throat muscles that we want open and the intrinsic throat muscles that are doing different things to make sounds. So the first thing that we learn is the arytenoid cartilages coming together to feel that kind of holding feeling. And now within that framework, we got the vocal folds pressing together to give us glottal compression. And we'll notice that as we transition from the vocal fry into the clean note. So have a listen as I do it. Putting your hands around your throat. Ooh. Feel the expansion. Ooh. Any note that feels comfortable to you. Just alternate like I did there. And you want to feel there's that consistent holding feeling, cool, from the arytenoid cartilages. And yeah, there are some other muscles involved, but we don't need to get into all of that. We just want to learn to feel it all, cool? Then we're also feeling, there's a feeling of like a little pressing going on. And that is glottal compression. Super, super subtle. You may not even feel it for quite a while. Cool. Okay, so make sure to save this video and do this exercise at least once a day for the next month. Maybe even 2-3 times a day, going over it and listening to the subtleties in my voice and really working on making the sound as clean as possible. And like I say, when you get up to 15 to 20 seconds, you know you've got yourself a good, clean vocal fry pop, which here is balancing your breathing and your vocal folds as a Brucey bonus. How cool is that? Keep playing with that exercise, and when you're happy with it, I'll see you in the next exercise. So exercise 2 is called the Yawny Hooty Ooh exercise. So now you can isolate the vocal folds from the extrinsic throat muscles. It's time to learn to keep that throat open and start to notice when it closes when you're moving up and down through the range. So this Yawny Hooty Ooh adds a nice full resonance to the voice. But as I've mentioned before, if you don't know how to transition from that nice, warm, full sound, you then are stuck in a classical sound when you want to sing pop, rock, or any other style of music. Well, once we've done these 3 exercises, you won't have that problem. But one of the great bonuses of this yawny hooty oo is it's really good at extending your vocal range. So as before, I want you to really zone in on the vocal folds and the open throat and really isolate how they're very different areas within your throat as you're sliding up and down through your vocal range. So we'll break this down into 4 steps as we did before. Make sure to have fun with it and explore. As long as nothing hurts, it's all good. So step 1 is the yawny hooty oo. So we say the word hoo and it sounds like this. Hoo, hoo. We did actually use that as one of the techniques to get into fry in the vocal fry exercise. So we've got rounded lips, hoo. Jaw dropped, ooh, tip of the tongue lightly touching the back, bottom, front teeth. It's actually right at the base for me. Cool, but anywhere along there is good. Ooh, ooh, thinking yawny. You may find that when you're doing it, you actually activate a real yawn and start going, and that's okay. Cool, that just shows you're doing the right thing. Another way to get that yawn activation or the right resonance is to focus the resonance right in your ears. Cool, I know it sounds a bit weird. Focusing that resonance in your ears will help open up that back space as well. So we'll want the soft palate to lift from the yawn, and when that happens, the larynx naturally lowers, and when that happens, as a reflex, the throat muscles, the extrinsic throat muscles, also relax. So you can see how powerful it is. Cool. So it's important to point out here that in this exercise, I want the larynx to stay low. So we'll constantly keep it hooty. In singing, the larynx can move around a lot more, especially when the throat is open. As long as the throat's open, your larynx can move wherever it wants. But when you're doing dark classical tones, you'll want the larynx low, and especially when you're doing this exercise. Cool. So it's just important to distinguish that. So you're not always singing with your larynx low down like that. And then once you can get the hooty sound, I'll see you in the next step. Okay, so step 2, we're going to take the hands like we did in the vocal fry exercise, putting them around the neck. Remember touching the back of the neck up here. And we're going to go ooh, 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 ooh. Can you feel that expansion under your hands? Does it feel even more active than it did when you were doing the vocal fry? So can you feel even more expansion now? If you can, cool. If you can't, it's all right. Just play around with it, making it more and more hooty and yawny. And then I'll see you in the next step. Okay, so step 3, we're now going to siren throughout your range with the hooty oo, and we're going to purposefully allow the throat to close. So we're going to take it to a point where we feel that restriction starting to kick in. So you can again start to recognize the difference between a throat that's open and expanded and a throat that's all tight and constricted. Cool. So very important and very powerful. As you do this exercise, again, we'll put the hands around the throat. It'll be worth recording it down so you can start to really hear the difference. And what you'll find is when you listen back to the recording, you'll be able to recall the moment you felt the throat tighten. You'll now be able to hear the moment the throat tightened. And even if you video it down, that would probably be even better, because you'll be able to see there was a little bit of tension maybe creeping in on your face. And what that's going to do is help consolidate the way you were thinking at that moment, the way it physically felt in the throat at that moment, and how it sounded at that moment. That's really powerful. And that's a super powerful tool for you to use in any of your singing work to just really connect all those elements together. Super top tip for you right there. Okay, so here we go then. I will slide up and I will purposefully allow my throat to tighten, and then I'll open it again. See if you can hear the difference, okay? Ooh, ooh. Cool? That was really interesting. It also went a bit pitchy too. Very cool. So have a listen back and see if you can hear exactly when my throat was tightening and when it was staying open. Really try and internalize that. Then give it a go yourself. Record yourself down, even videoing it. And then see if you can start to recognize the sound, the feel, and how you were thinking at that point when your throat closed. And of course, if you can then open it up again on that pitch, then suddenly you can go even higher. How cool is that? Okay, so step 4, we're now going to bring the vocal fry exercise into this hooty-oo exercise. So we've got the vocal fry that's going to help us isolate where those vocal folds are within the throat, so the intrinsic throat muscles. And then we've got the extrinsic throat muscles really being emphasized by the hooty-oo. Cool? So we're bringing some powerful stuff together here. So it's going to sound like this now. Hands around the throat. Did you hear that first one? In the first example, I allowed the throat to close a bit. Did you hear how it kind of throttled the pitch as it went higher and it cut in and out? The second one, I focused on keeping the throat nice and yawny, hooty and open, and it went up easily. Cool? So play around with that a lot. Just experimenting with noticing how open you can get that throat by making it more yawny, noticing where the vocal folds are from the vocal fry at the beginning, and constantly working on feeling that separation. Don't get too lost at this point in going, oh wow, I can go higher. So remember, we're trying to build awareness of the extrinsic throat muscles and separate that from the intrinsic throat muscles. The intrinsic throat muscles are going to be activating and squeezing and holding and doing all sorts of cool fun stuff to make the pitch and to create different distortions, whereas the extrinsic throat muscles should be open and relaxed, this feeling of expansion, so that they can create this lovely framework that the larynx can move freely inside of. So again, as before, take time to really play around with this. What I notice with my students is the ones that really progress super well are the ones that internalize all of these exercises by making them their own and really learning stuff by playing with them. Never give yourself grief because you're going, oh, I got it wrong. No, wrong is part of the journey. So don't even call it wrong. It's an experiment that taught you something. See it more like that and your mind will be much calmer, much happier and more open to learning all these valuable lessons that you're learning in this super cool video. So make sure to subscribe and like this video and even leave a comment. But make sure you save this video so you don't lose it, so you can come back and do it over and over and over and over. All right, so once you've played around with that, I'll see you in that third powerful exercise that's going to transition you into singing with more of a pop voice or any style of sound that you want to use. And remember, if you want me to help you with your singing, don't forget to check out the description box below. So exercise 3 is called the counting exercise. This exercise is going to start with your throat open, and then we're going to run out of air on purpose to feel that throat close, to again reinforce the feeling of an open throat compared to a closed throat. Now, the power of this counting exercise is that it also transitions you from that yawny classical sound into more of a poppy tone. So we'll break this down into 3 simple steps. So as before, have fun with it. Explore, enjoy the process. As long as nothing hurts, it's all good, y'all. So before we get started, it's really important you record your voice down. Again, video would be best here. And what you're listening for is on this exercise, as we've done before, we're going to purposefully get to a point where we feel the throat start to tighten. Cool? So when you're counting, there's going to be a number where you go, I felt it on that number. Then when you reference and listen back to your recording, you may notice that you hear it close on the same number, but more than likely, as you're new to this, what you'll find is you could hear it tighten before you felt it tighten in the throat, or the other way around. But either way, they're going to be out of sync. Cool. By doing this exercise over and over, you'll get to a point where you'll go, oh, I could feel my throat tighten on 15. And then you listen back to the recording and you can go, I heard it close on 15. Brilliant. They're now aligned. That means your awareness is correct for when you felt the throat starting to tighten. Now that in itself is absolute gold and deserves a thumbs up. Okay, so step 1, we're now going to count to the highest number we can on 1 breath only. Now, on that breath, we do want to run out of air so we can feel the throat tighten, so we can do that comparison on the recording. Cool? So, hands around the throat. Hooty-oo on any comfortable note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Did you hear it? 13. At 13, I felt the throat just starting to tighten. Now notice I'm not taking a super long, good breath here. Otherwise, I'll be sitting here for 30, 40 seconds, and that's not the objective. Cool? So I'll do it once more for you. Have a really good listen. And remember, you're going to record this down and do this yourself over and over and over. And that's where the gold is. All right. So take the hands around the throat. Hooty-oo. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Did you hear the throat starting to tighten? Okay, so your turn. Stop the video now and keep doing the counting exercise until you can feel the throat closing on a specific number, and you can also hear back in the recording that your throat closed on that same number. And also work up to keeping the throat open for at least 15 seconds. And then you're ready to move on to step 3. Step 3. We are now going to bring in everything that you've learned so far. So we're bringing in the vocal fry to help you zone in on those vocal folds. We're going to use the yawny sound to get that nice expansion in the extrinsic throat muscles. And then we're going to transition into more of a kind of normal speaking voice kind of sound, a more poppy sound. Cool? Now, don't worry about it too much if you're going, well, what's more of a poppy sound? Anything that's not classical is really the objective at the minute, to just help you start to transition into other sounds. Cool? Okay, so any pitch that's comfortable to you, putting the hands around the neck. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, yeah. And that's it. I am squeezing my vocals, and I'm not closing my throat, yeah. Cool? And that's how you keep an open throat and move into any sound that you want, using the counting exercise. Okay, so again with the hands around the throat, nice and relaxed, starting with a yawny sound with vocal fry and then moving into more of a pop sound. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fly me to the moon. So as before, make sure to play with this over and over and over until you've locked it in. Make all sorts of funky sounds. It doesn't matter. If that throat is open, you'll be amazed at the sounds that you can make. And there's no feeling of anything uncomfortable. It's just open and relaxed. So often the agitation that you feel in the throat is because those extrinsic throat muscles are closing around the intrinsic throat muscles and creating those compressed sounds in the wrong, unhealthy way. When the extrinsic throat muscles are open, you can make all sorts of cool sounds and it's all healthy and good to go. So now if you've done the singer's meditation video first, then you're probably going, hang on, this feels a lot like that. Well, you'd be totally right. When you do the singer's meditation correctly, you get a natural open throat. What we've learned in this video is how to internalize correct singer's awareness of that open throat. Singer's awareness is simply becoming aware of what your mind and your body is telling you all the time. It's telling you when there's tension, when there's problems. What you need to do is learn to recognize those signs so then you can act accordingly. Cool? So now then, we can do the singer's meditation, we get the open throat, we're working through, maybe going higher, and as we go higher, we feel the throat start to tighten. What does that tell us? We need to relax into the singer's meditation more, and the throat should open again. Cool, huh? All right, so you need to go through those 3 exercises. I would even bolt on the singer's meditation at the beginning or even at the end. Really play around with it. Spend the next month really internalizing this skill. It is such a hugely powerful thing. Like I say, I call it the internal vocal coach because it's your guide. You nurture it and it will guide you. Every single sound you make, you can rely on that open throat. If it's open, you're good to go. If it's closed, you need to fix it. And that could be down to many different forms of what I call blocking tensions. So in the next video, we're going to bring together the singer's meditation and this open throat and start to really build it out into the voice, into a daily routine so you can start to recognize when your voice is in a good state or a bad state for singing that day, which is really important because it then can help you work out how you would want to warm up your voice and even if you'd want to just give it a break for that day. Very powerful, and that's the next video. So remember to share this video with any of your singing friends that you know would really value this content. And if you'd like me to fast track you through this whole process and teach you how to sing with emotion, then check out the links in the description box below. Otherwise, I'm Vocal Coach Dylan, and I'll see you in that next video.